Man, I find it bananas that any individual in America has any trust in this government at all. Like, just keeping this 100% honest, right? So, the Supreme Court has been, kind of remaking America, and it's been kind of crazy, all right? Things is kind of bananas. We'll talk about affirmative action when we get there, right? We got rid of Roe versus Wade, affirmative action went yesterday, and then on top of that, the student loan debt. This is an article from NPR. It said there's no trust now. Student loan borrowers respond to the Supreme Court decision. Okay, listen, Zoomers. All right, legitimately, what what you don't understand is that this government was never trustworthy. It has never been trustworthy, and it will never be trustworthy. This is an important thing to understand. This government, if left to its own vices, will fuck you every time it has a chance. I would say Congress needs to pass this, but that's not going to happen. Yet no shit. It's become a culture war issue around this. And like, this is my income. This affects my money I'm able to spend on groceries. Yeah, no shit. Person took out $30,000 for a bachelor degree, right? Went to the University at NC at Chapel Hill, right? And I'll be honest with you, right? Like, what should happen is if you got a degree in things that are worthwhile, like engineering or like doctors or nurses, like 100%, like we should pay that shit back. Like, that's, I don't understand why we wouldn't. Like, it's something we need, right? But if you got like a degree in underwater lesbian basket weaving, no, no. Why would you ever stand here and bail those people out? You should never bail out people who get degrees in nonsense, because let me explain where like the entire ideology of like a liberal arts comes from, right? So when universities first started, right, back in like the 16s and 1700s, what they did with universities is they took the rich nobles kids who were kind of separated from society and weren't really human beings, right? Like, they considered themselves a different class. Like, and you can see this now with like rich kids. They're all like weird. They're not really like humans and stuff. They're kind of like extracurricular. They're weirdos as an in general thing. They don't know how to treat regular people. But what they did was, in order to breed them to be proper leaders or educate them to be proper leaders later on, because they were the nobility and aristocracy, as it were, they were going to inherit a whole bunch of land and probably slaves or serfs, or they were going to have to deal with people who, were sharecropping their land, these type of things, right? What they did was is they took their kids and they put them into what's known as liberal arts. And now liberal arts was a a way to be able to teach people like history and humanity and art and literature and leadership and economics and geography and management and like business and trade and just all the things that, like, say if you wanted somebody to be president, you would want them to know, right? Or a governor or like a leader of your business, right? If you had like a multi-million-dollar business and like you wanted to start something new and you wanted to hire somebody to run your business, right? And your business does dealings in China and London and fucking France and California and Michigan and all these things, right? And you have like 5 or 10,000 employees. You would want that manager to not be a complete asshole towards the employees so they keep working and producing proper goods for you, right? You'd want him to be able to do business with different cultures around the world, right? You'd want him to be educated enough that like he can go to France and go to the Louvre and know a few of the paintings, right? These type of things, right? And this is where liberal arts comes from. And so when you send somebody for a liberal arts degree, right, whether it be economics or whatever the case is, what you're doing is you're creating a future leader of America, right? Or a future leader in general. That's what these courses for. But if you're not planning on being a leader, you shouldn't be in these things. It's a very simple premise. And I don't understand why it is that we can't figure this out. And we shouldn't be paying or bailing out or doing any of the things that come with, like liberal arts education, right? Because, like, real shit, no matter what happens, future leaders will be educated enough to be able to lead things. That's how that works. But the problem is once you put too many people through a liberal arts indoctrination, they start standing here studying, like underwater lesbian, basket weaving, or feminist, like armpit hair braiding and all these things, right? And they start having these ridiculous ideas, and then the professors from that can't find a job, and then they end up being professors back, or they graduate other kids who can't find a job, and they come back and they work at the university, right? And they've spent literally, people will spend 30, 40, 50 years in a government indoctrination center, right? And never have experienced the real world. That's just some real shit. This is where we are. And this is why we shouldn't bail them individuals out. And we need to tell them why. It shouldn't just be like, yo, we're not bailing you out for some legalese reason. It should be made on a, this is the problem with, again, as a leader of men, you should stand here and tell individuals and communicate it out like, listen, all right, we will stand here and pay for doctors and dentists, in particular dentists, Jesus Christ, right? Engineers, electricians, electrical engineers, all these things that we need in the society, right? Hydraulic engineers, guys that know how to, like, run water, kind of important, right? People who run grids that keep all of us surviving, those guys should never have a problem paying for college, right? But, when it comes to everybody else, go, hey, look, all right, you guys went and got courses in being leaders in America, and you're not leaders. Okay, you people basically got like degrees in nonsense to go have the college experience. Well, it's like going to a concert. It's not free. Okay, you're gonna have to pay for that. And anybody else who wants to go later on to go get the same type of degrees, you're going to have to pay for that as well. Gen Z, welcome to the real world from a proper millennial. Tom Pease with Pnoid News. Holla at your boy. Peace.